Have you ever wondered who Ludwig van Beethoven was before he became a household name in classical music? Let's travel back in time to the late 18th century, to a small town in Germany, where a prodigy was born into a family steeped in musical tradition. This was the humble beginning of a legend in the making. Ludwig, our musical genius, was born in December 1770, into a family where music was not just a hobby, it was a way of life. His father, a court musician, recognized Ludwig's talent early on and introduced him to the world of music. This exposure to music at such an early age was instrumental in shaping the prodigy that Ludwig was to become. From the clutches of an ordinary life, a star was born, bearing the weight of extraordinary talent. His destiny was written in the language of music, a language he was born to master. Born into a family of musicians, Beethoven was destined for musical greatness. What if your childhood was filled with the harsh demands of a domineering father? Imagine the life of a young Ludwig van Beethoven, not on the playground but rather confined within the four walls of a room, his fingers dancing on the keys of a piano. The melody of childhood was replaced with the rhythm of rigorous practice sessions under the stern gaze of his father, Johann van Beethoven. Johann, a man of many flaws but an undeniable love for music, saw in his son a prodigy. He envisioned Ludwig as the next Mozart, and to fulfill this vision he adopted a strict and at times cruel approach. The youthful laughter of Ludwig was often drowned in the stern voice of his father, commanding him to perfect each note, each melody, each symphony. Yet, beneath the fog of this demanding upbringing, a genius was emerging. At the tender age of 7, Ludwig was placed before the public eye. His fingers, though small, moved with an assurance that belied his years. The audience was captivated by the melodies that flowed from his piano, their applause echoing the promise of a bright future for the young musician. However, behind the applause and the accolades, the struggle was real. Ludwig had to grapple with the burden of his father's expectations, the relentless pursuit of perfection, and the isolation from a normal childhood. Yet, these trials did not break him. Instead, they forged him into a resilient and determined individual. His music became a reflection of his journey. Each note resonated with his struggles, each melody echoed his resilience, and each symphony was a testament to his indomitable spirit. His music was not just an arrangement of notes, it was a narrative of his life, a testament to his journey, a symphony of his struggles. So, as we delve deeper into the life of Beethoven, let us remember that beneath the brilliant composer was a child who was forced to grow up too soon, a child who, despite the trials of his youth, rose above them to create music that continues to resonate with audiences centuries later. Despite the harshness of his father, Beethoven's talent was undeniable. What happens when a young musician with extraordinary talent steps into the limelight? Enter Ludwig van Beethoven, the man who would redefine the world of music. As a prodigious talent, Beethoven took the bold leap to relocate to Vienna, the city of music, in the late 18th century. This move marked a significant turning point in his life and career. In Vienna, Beethoven found his mentor in the renowned composer Joseph Haydn. Haydn's influence on Beethoven cannot be overstated. He helped shape the young musician's understanding of composition and performance. Beethoven's studies under Haydn were instrumental in honing his unique musical style, a style that would soon set him apart from his contemporaries. But Beethoven wasn't content to merely be a student of music. He had a burning desire to create, to compose, to perform. And so he began his career in earnest, showcasing his compositions and his prowess as a performer. His piano concerts were a revelation, captivating audiences with their emotional depth and technical brilliance. As Beethoven's reputation grew, so did his fame. His innovative compositions, marked by their dramatic intensity and expressive power, resonated with the Viennese audience. They were drawn to his music, captivated by its raw emotion and the sheer genius of its creator. Beethoven's name began to echo in the halls of Vienna, and soon across Europe. But it wasn't just his music that made Beethoven a standout. His personality, marked by an intense passion for music and a fierce independence, set him apart. He was a man who believed in the power of music as an expression of freedom, a man who refused to conform to the norms of his time. In this city of music, Beethoven began to carve out his own path, defying the expectations of his era. His genius was undeniable, his music, unforgettable. He was no longer just Ludwig van Beethoven, the young musician from Bonn. He was Beethoven, the composer, the performer, the musical force of nature. In Vienna, Beethoven began to make his mark as a musical force to be reckoned with. Can you imagine a musician, a composer, losing his most vital sense, hearing? It's like a painter losing her sight, a dancer losing his legs. Yet this was the reality for Ludwig van Beethoven, a musical genius whose melodies echoed across the great concert halls of Europe. In his late 20s, Beethoven began to experience a persistent buzzing in his ears. This ringing would soon escalate to a muffled dullness that mired the beautiful symphonies he once heard so clearly. Imagine the irony, a maestro unable to hear his own magnum opus. But did Beethoven surrender to his circumstances? Far from it. His hearing loss, instead of becoming a wall, became a window to a new world. A world where he was no longer confined by the conventional musical norms of his time. Beethoven's music started to reflect this transformation. His melodies became more profound, his rhythms more intricate, and his compositions more daring. He began to write music not merely to entertain, but to express and evoke emotion, to tell stories, to challenge, to inspire. Despite his deteriorating hearing, Beethoven continued to perform publicly, relying more on the feel of the vibrations of the music than on the sound. He would often cut the legs off his piano so he could feel the vibrations more directly. However, as his hearing worsened, Beethoven became increasingly isolated from society. Conversations became difficult, and he found himself retreating into a world of silence. It was a lonely existence, but in this solitude, Beethoven found the freedom to create, to innovate, and to revolutionize music. He became a silent maestro, orchestrating symphonies that spoke volumes, symphonies that would echo through the ages. Beethoven's hearing loss was a cruel twist of fate, an ironic affliction for a man whose life was dedicated to the creation of sound, but it was also a catalyst, pushing him to explore new depths in his music, to break free from the chains of conventionality, and to make his mark on the world. Even with the loss of his hearing, Beethoven refused to be silenced. His spirit was indomitable, his will unbreakable. His music, born out of adversity, will forever remain a testament to the triumph of the human spirit over adversity. What does it mean to overcome adversity and create art that lasts forever? This question was answered in resounding fashion by Ludwig van Beethoven. As the years progressed, his hearing deteriorated. Yet, rather than allowing this to be the death knell of his creativity, Beethoven chose a different path. He continued to compose, even as the world of sound gradually fell silent around him. His deafness was not a barrier, but a catalyst, pushing him to heights of creativity that few could imagine. He began to create music that broke free from the constraints of his time, music that was not dictated by the tastes of the nobility, but by the movements of his own spirit. His compositions were no longer simple pieces meant for entertainment, but profound expressions of human emotion and resilience. His music became a testament to his unyielding spirit, a testament to the power of the human will when faced with adversity. Beethoven's later years were marked by a creative surge that birthed some of his most memorable and beloved works. The Ninth Symphony, his last complete symphony, is a prime example. Composed when he was almost completely deaf, it stands as a beacon of his triumph over adversity. This symphony, with its famous Ode to Joy finale, is a testament to Beethoven's spirit, his belief in the power of music to uplift and unite humanity. Yet Beethoven's legacy is not simply in the music he created. His story, his journey from a child prodigy to an isolated genius, from a man struggling with a cruel fate to a beacon of resilience and creativity, is a source of inspiration. His story shows us that adversity can be a catalyst for greatness, that limitations can be transcended, and that art can be a powerful tool for expressing the deepest aspects of the human spirit. Beethoven's music stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of a man who refused to be defined by his circumstances. His triumph over adversity was not just personal, but universal, echoing through the centuries in the music that continues to inspire and move audiences around the world. How does a man achieve immortality through his art? This question lies at the heart of Ludwig van Beethoven's story. Born into a world of string quartets and sonatas, Beethoven emerged as a prodigious talent, promising Europe a successor to Mozart. Yet, his life was far from harmonious. His father's harsh upbringing instilled in him a deep-seated aversion to coercion, shaping him into a fiercely independent spirit. As he grappled with gradual hearing loss, Beethoven made a courageous choice. Instead of composing music that conformed to his era's tastes, he chose to create timeless masterpieces. His music broke free from the shackles of his father's tyranny and his own physical disability, becoming a potent symbol of freedom and resilience. Though Beethoven's life was marked by trials and tribulations, his music transcended them all. His symphonies and sonatas remain as vibrant and evocative as they were 2 centuries ago. Beethoven may have left this world, but his music continues to resonate, ensuring his immortality.